Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and I'm excited to introduce our guests today. They are a husband, father, Christian fitness enthusiast, author, podcast host, public speaker, and a communication strategist at speaking sessions. He is a connector of people and inspires them to become the best version of themselves. He does this by helping people build stronger mindsets, learn to speak more confidently, and get comfortable in their own skin so they can impact others with their message. Please welcome Philip Sessions. Philip, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Phil. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I gave you this nice little intro, but that's a bunch of fluff. My audience wants to know more about you. So please, in your own words, introduce yourself.
Well, there's a lot of titles there, and that did not just happen overnight. Believe it or not, I am just a regular guy that's decided that I was going to take action and start doing things. It took me a year and a half before I started doing a podcast. I used to never want to talk, and now I talk all the time, and I help people talk. And so basically, I'm on this huge self-development journey to better myself, to be able to leave that legacy for my currently one child, possibly a second child in the future. We haven't quite decided that yet. But married, Christian for my whole life, and just put all my faith into God, and everything that I've gotten has definitely been because of him and a little bit because of my wife, by keeping me in the right direction as I go along this crazy journey called entrepreneurship, where I've got a million different thoughts and how do I keep that channeled. So I'm thankful for her. And that's really just a little bit about me. Like I said, normal guy, just took action one thing at a time to build up all these different titles.
I love it. And I want to know, how long have you been on this entrepreneurial journey?
I think it was 2017 was when this really took off. I was in college for electrical engineering degree, and I graduated in December 2013. It was probably about November or December of 2012, or yeah, I think it was the second to last, or technically third to last semester for me, that I was like really into fitness. And I thought, you know what, I might want to go towards fitness. And then I was like, nah, not going to do it. Just stick with engineering. You can make more money. It'll be better long-term for family, all this stuff. But I just kept having this entrepreneurial bug. And about 3 years ago was whenever I finally dove headfirst into trying to build this fitness business. As I started doing that, I started realizing that really wasn't where I wanted to be at. And it was about 2 years ago, I had a job at BMW Manufacturing, doing leadership and transformation into public speaking skills and presentation skills, and that really sparked that light for me to do the public speaking. I had already been on stage and wanted to help myself get on that stage, and I thought, what better way if BMW has this is something that needs to happen for them, for where I got started with the business that I do now. But prior to that, to where I started going to conferences, and I went to several different conferences to grow masterminds and other things that really started taking off for me. Just continues to build more and more and more.
Philip, I want to apologize because you glitched out halfway through talking, and I apologize. I wasn't able to hear the remaining bits of what you said. Ooh. Oh, looks like we just lost Philip. Hopefully he'll be coming back. Uh, go ahead and send him a message here. There we go. Hey, Phil. Phil, are you on Wi-Fi by any chance?
Hey, so sorry about this. I don't know what's going on.
Check the private chat, Phil, if you can hear me.
All right, hopefully that's better. Sorry about that.
No worries. I just messaged you. Don't know what happened. Sometimes, were you on Wi-Fi by any chance?
I mean, I still am. Normally, I am. I just decided to restart my computer. I really think I need to get a new one. This thing keeps kind of doing some weird stuff on me. So I just restarted it and it seems to be fine.
All
I
right,
don't
so
know.
we'll go from there. No worries. So yeah, so it's about 8 minutes in. So the last like maybe 3 minutes, I'll double check. But yes, unfortunately, I missed the last bit of what you were saying. So let's take it from there.
Yeah, so essentially where my journey started was probably the first book, Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mhm.
and that got me started with my entrepreneurial journey and interested in all that. And then growing to GrowthCon 2 is really where everything took off. I started going to more conferences, getting involved in masterminds, working on networking, and just continually learning and growing through more networking events, more masterminds, and more conferences.
I love that. The networking is the biggest part and where you see
Yes.
the most growth because you get to be around the people that are doing the things that you want. Um, why did you decide, like, you had this, like you said, you were like, oh, maybe I'll go into fitness, but you stayed with the electrical engineering. You had this pretty much a promise of a nice golden ticket, if you will, because electrical engineers are very well paid for and because of the knowledge. So why did you decide, hey, no, I'm going to throw away this kind of golden parachute for this unknown cliff and building something on the way down?
Well, I mean, I'm still in the 9 to 5 full time,
Oh,
and I'm doing this on the side just for the transparency there.
okay.
But the reason why I want to get out of it is because while the salary for a 9 to 5 salary is a good salary, there's definitely salaries that make more, but from a non-managerial, non-commission perspective, it is probably one of the higher salaries.
Mhm.
And while it's good, and I always say this, that because I program control systems and I program robots to automate the process of delivering parts, and the logistics parts and everything. So logistics automation. And so I speak with robots all the time, but I enjoy speaking with humans more. And that's really why I want to do that. Plus, I can control everything. There's such a huge workload and such a huge demand for my skill set and expertise, yet it's not paid the way that the demand is. And which is interesting because in entrepreneurship, if there is a crazy demand, you can make crazy amounts of money. And not that money is everything, but making a couple $100,000 a year can really change somebody's life. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
not going to happen unless if I go start my own engineering firm as an electrical engineer. And so I want to be able to do that, because not just for me to be able to make more money. I mean, yes, that's an important thing. That's something so I can go buy some nice things, but I want to be able to give back and bless others. And with the salary I have right now, I can do a little bit, but if I go out on my own, I can do so much more. And the public speaking impacts everybody, your communication, that impacts you in every single aspect of your life. And so I can create more impact through that than I can with my electrical engineering degree and job.
I like that. I like it getting back to the impact, getting to the people, helping the people um, become a better version so that they can reach the goals and that they aspire to have. Um, if you could think of a tip, because you're in that 9 to 5, you're still in that 9 to 5 while you build your business, which is a great place because a lot of us all started there. What tip would you have someone who's on the cusp? They're thinking about starting their 9 to 5. They've read the Rich Dad Poor Dad books, and they understand the importance of it, but they're still on that fence. What kind of tip or what kind of helpful push could you give them?
I would say lean into that desire that's in your heart, because if it's a desire that's on your heart, to me, it's a God given desire, and you need to at least look into it. Sometimes it's just this cool new thing, and it may not actually be that desire or that gift that you want to go after, but lean into it a little bit, especially if you have that 9 to 5, you kind of have that safety net for yourself. So you can lean into it and invest a little bit of money, maybe go to a conference, maybe learn a little bit, invest into some kind of program and learn a little bit more and realize whether you like it or not. Going back to what I talked about with being in the fitness space to start out, I was still in the 9 to 5, but I started trying fitness and I realized that wasn't for me. If I would have dove right in, I may have gotten stuck in that and not realize that, hey, I didn't actually enjoy that much. And the same thing with the speaking coaching. Right now, I'm loving it. You never know. By the time maybe I get there, I'm like, you know what? This isn't for me. And I still have the 9 to 5 to help me with that. But I would just say lean into that desire. If it's something that's on your heart, you need to go figure out if it's actually something on your heart or if it was just bad pizza.
Oh, I like that. That little bad pizza. I like that. Oh, um, what kind of tips for someone to feel more confident? Now, obviously, running a podcast, public speaking isn't that difficult for me.
Mhm.
I just feel that I'm on camera all the time. But we know it's a huge fear for a lot of people. And what kind of tip could you have for those people who are fearful of public speaking to feel more confident when they do get up in front of a group of people?
Mm. Well, first of all, just do it. That's the thing that's going to build the confidence. It's through reps. Just like you said, Phil, you're always on podcast, you're always on video, and now it's basically not a big deal. So you have to start getting those reps in to really, truly gain that confidence. But if you don't have those reps yet, just remember that it's not about you. Too often, when we go and speak in front of people, we start thinking about ourselves and how great we are, or maybe it's, oh, I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't look stupid, or that my fly's open, or something like that. And we worry about all these things that are silly, and it's all about us. But when we start focusing on the audience, it's so much better. And an example for you, if somebody is coming to you and they're trying to sell you something, right away you can tell, because we get so many cold DMs where people are like, hey, I see you post all the time. I've got this great service for you. It can really help you out. And you're like, really? You don't even know anything about me and you're just shooting me a DM? But if you came and let's say I came to you, Phil, and I'm like, hey, Phil, I love your videos. I noticed that you did this thing where you didn't really look in the camera to mimic eye contact. Next time you do a video, make sure that you look into the camera so it mimics eye contact, and that'll help your videos out. And if I kind of keep giving little tips like that, or just building up this relationship, eventually either you're going to come to me like, hey, Philip, I would like some coaching from you. Or when I finally say, hey, Phil, I love what you're doing. I would love to help you out a little bit more if you're interested in that. And now it's not this whole cold, weird thing, because I was there trying to give you value to start out. And now people are, so you would be more interested in that and more inclined to at least have the conversation. So same thing when it comes to your speaking. If you are there for the people and you're giving them value and you're thinking about them, the confidence is just going to build up in you, because people are going to be really interested in you. And that's when we lack the confidence, when we just focus on ourselves. So focus on your audience.
I love that. That is a great tip to have for anybody really, from business to marketing to public speaking. Focus on your audience. Make sure that you know who they are and what you're bringing to them. So Phillips, thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Hey, focus on your spouse too. That's another thing. I mean, hey, if we're guys, we like to have sex. if you want to have sex, you can't just go in there like, hey, let's have sex. That never works. Hey, you get a little foot rub, you try to talk them up, you treat them nice, and you need to do it intentionally, not just literally for the sex. But if you're doing those things, you're warming your spouse up, you're more likely going to be able to get it. Or when you do go and ask for that, then it's gonna be like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like, okay, I guess we could do it. It's never always like, yeah, let's go do it now. But
it's
still,
rare. It's rare that they're that
giving before you can receive as well within all that.
Yes, the give. Oh, that again.
Yeah.
You're probably the third guest this today that I've recorded, because I like to batch my episodes, because I'm a glutton for punishment, if you will. But you've been reiterating, and it's great to see how focusing on your guests, giving before asking for anything, and you'll be able to receive tenfold. So I'm really glad that you're resonating that message for my audience to understand that it's a give. Then you'll be able to receive. People will come, and it's an amazing feat. In your career so far, jumping in this entrepreneurial journey that you have so far while still maintaining a 9 to 5, you must be grinding out hours like mad. But you must also be getting some nice wins for some of your clients that you can celebrate with them. Do you care to share maybe a story you have with one of your client wins?
Yeah, one of my recent clients, it's been pretty funny. So there's like one thing that's funny, and the other one's really awesome to see. So he's a younger entrepreneur, young in age as well as in business. It was his dad's business, and he started to take over that business and everything. And the funny thing is, when we first started coaching, it was supposed to be out speaking coaching and communications, and it turned into a lot of business as well. Well, he has hired his cousin, and they've got this shop, and they do cabinets. So they're working with their hands, and they're in the trades industry. So it's not prim and proper, if you will, like maybe a corporate job and everything, because hey, they're in the shop, they're working, they go out to the job site. They're not really there day in and day out, and customers aren't really coming to them. Well, first session we get talking, and I had to go to the restroom, like, hey, where's the restroom at? And you could tell he got embarrassed. He's like, well, you can go to the gas station down the street. And I'm like, well, I just got to pee, so no big deal. I just go around back. But he's got his cousin, which makes it a little better. But his cousin, who's a female, that's like, you're gonna make her go down there. So it was like, that's the funny thing, is that okay, we're getting a bathroom in here. That was like my first coaching lesson with him. It's like, you gotta get a bathroom. But what's been really cool is to watch him, and he's really just was struggling with trying to figure out all his pricing and everything. And he's brought his cousin in to do estimating, and we've really just laid the foundation of the foundation in like, hey, this is where you're going to go with this. Here's the procedure that goes with this, and really empowering his cousin to make decisions, because she was going to him every time. And so while he hired somebody to do this job, she kept going back to him every single time about every single bid. because she didn't feel confident to be able to do it. And I said, hey, you've got to set up procedures. And we talked through it of what she's allowed to do, what the numbers are that you expect. And yes, you don't know all your actual numbers, but what kind of margins are you trying to hit? What's your ideal margin? Of course, if it's anything above that, that's not a problem. But if it's below it, how low can we go based on how much workload we have and everything? And so he finally put all that together. And so it's really cool just to see how he's super excited. She's winning bids now and everything, all within just like 2 months of coaching, just how much has changed from that. So it's just really cool to see that transformation so quickly. And I love seeing that every time with my coaching clients.
I'm hoping by now he's gotten a toilet and a bathroom for the office. I'm hoping by now in those 2 months that was done.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Oh, it's on
Unfortunately,
the way still.
yeah, he's got a dad that's a construction guy, so he thinks he can do it. So,
Ah,
but he's now flipping and saying, "No, we're gonna get somebody to come in here and do that
there we
because
go. At least
you're
there's
not
that.
doing
He
it
can make the
yourself."
nice cabinets for it.
Yeah,
Leave the rest of that plumbing to a professional.
exactly. So,
That's amazing. No, and that's a great win. Seeing in less than 2 months, or in about a 2 month span, them getting the wins that they deserve and feeling more empowered for everybody involved. Because that's what you want. You want your employees to feel empowered, so that they can make the decisions that will get you more money coming in, and you're not working in the business. You're working on the business so that it's growing and you're making more money. I love that.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, let's talk about your podcast.
All right.
What's your podcast? We recently you put on some wins that you had on your podcast, and I'm always excited to talk podcasting. So, what's your podcast on?
Yeah, so the podcast is Speaking Sessions, and it's all about communication and public speaking for leaders and business owners who I specifically focus on. But whether you are a leader or business owner, you can definitely get something out of it to help you with your speaking and communication skills. And as of this recording, we literally just hit 1 year of that podcast, which is really exciting. Tomorrow will be the 90th episode that'll come out. So technically 89 episodes as we record this. The
Nice.
first 9 months, I started in March 30th of 2022. The first 9 months, I had 1,500 downloads. Like right at the end of the year, I got the 1,500, which was really exciting. But I wasn't marketing it too much. I would throw stuff up here and there and talk about it, and maybe a friend I would end up saying something about. But then this last 3 months, so the first 3 months of 2023, I've gotten another 1,000 downloads. And if my math is correct, I'm not a mathematician, I'm just an engineer. I believe that I had a 200% increase on that, because based on per month, I went from 166 downloads a month to 333. So actually it's probably like a 300, I don't know, 300% increase.
Nearly 3x
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's
So
an
whatever. See, I don't do math, but anyways, I definitely have increased the downloads. And the reason why was not necessarily because I got better. I hope I got better over that year of podcasting. The guests have always been phenomenal. So I don't think it's necessarily that, oh, the guests are better or anything like that. Some people will say that. I think it's kind of insult on your early guests. But it's because I started marketing it more. That was the big thing. I started talking to more people about it and putting it out there, because I was always like, well, if I'm putting it out there, I'm like selling. And I realized that most people aren't even seeing it anyways. So I might as well put it out there. And the people that are seeing it are the people that really like me already. And they understand the game, in quotes there, that's part of what you have to do when you're building a business or building a podcast, is marketing it. So that's really just kind of a tidbit there. If you do start a podcast, you have to be talking about it all the time, or you're going to sit at like 100 downloads and it's going to suck. And you're going to feel like, why am I doing this? This is just terrible. And I would say get with Phil if you need help with that podcast.
either Phil. I'm pretty sure Philip can help you over here. Or I will definitely be able to help you after a decade of podcasting. I think I have a little tips and tricks up my sleeves.
Yeah,
But
I'd say so.
Phil, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where is the sessions, speaking sessions? Where are you in 5 years?
Man, in 5 years, definitely not in the 9 to 5 anymore. So hopefully way sooner than that. But for sure, at 5 years, my plan is to have between 3 to 5 coaches that are helping me out. We're doing workshops at tons of different corporations, really focused here on manufacturing in South Carolina, where I'm at. There's tons of manufacturing facilities here. So I really want to focus on those manufacturing corporations first, going in and doing workshops. We're hosting events, doing conferences to help people with their speaking and their leadership abilities. And then probably have about another 3 VAs really help out with that and just becoming kind of this media machine and media giant to be able to help people and really have empowered about 10,000 people to have gotten on stage or just been able to get a raise or whatever that looks like for them to be able to increase their income and increase their business through speaking and having that confidence for themselves.
Oh, I love that. And I look forward to having you back next year and the following year, hearing about the wins that you have, and especially hearing you finally say goodbye 9 to 5, hello freedom of time. But we are coming to the end of the episode, which I hate because I love having amazing guests like yourself, Philip, on the show. But we're getting to the spark question of the show. What is the hardest lesson you learned in the past year?
The hardest lesson I've learned in the past year would have to be sticking to one thing. That is the most difficult thing that I find for myself. But as I've stuck with that one thing, it just helped so much. And I've had tremendous growth because of that. But before that, I would be like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I'd see somebody having success online or what looked like success online. And they're just, things are just popping off. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should go try that out. I could probably figure that out too. And I kept trying to bounce around from idea to idea to idea. And I finally just decided, you know what? You're going to stick with this one thing. Yes, you can refine it a little bit and make these little tweaks and everything as you go along, as you figure out what might work a little bit better, what seems to be kind of getting that traction. But it was sticking to that one thing that I finally learned that has helped me out tremendously.
Oh, I love it. And it's a great lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn.
Yes.
But once you learn it, it just takes everything just compounds greatly. So thank you very much for sharing that with my audience and myself. Phil, I'm going to jump off stage. I'm going to let my audience know where they can connect with you if they're looking to get some help speaking or listen to your podcast or anything else that you have on the go. So the floor is yours.
Well, awesome. Phil, first of all, thank you again for having me on the podcast. For those of you that are listening, if you want help with public speaking, the best place for my free resources are either my Speaking Sessions podcast or Speaking with Confidence on Facebook. But if you are interested in actually some paid group coaching where it's a community of like-minded people that are supportive to help you as you grow and develop and build that confidence for your public speaking, this supportive community is called the Speaking Sessions Lounge, and you can join us there. You can send me a DM to learn more about that. So you can either find me on Facebook at The Real Philip Sessions, on Instagram as at I Am Philip Sessions, or over on LinkedIn at Philip Sessions. And that's all with one L there. If you want to learn more about that and learn more about me, and we can see and make sure that we are a great fit.
Philip, I want to thank you so much for being an awesome guest, sharing with us the lessons that you've learned, how you're journeying right now between the 9 to 5 and entrepreneurial world. And I look forward to all the big wins that come your way.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
To my audience, as you know, the show notes will have all the links to Philip's business, his LinkedIn, his Instagram. So make sure you go check those out. Connect with him if you need help with speaking, or if you know someone who does. He's probably one of the best that we've had on the podcast talking about that. So make sure you connect with him. And as always, remember to invest in yourself.